Hi everyone, and welcome to Glasshouse Recording Studio and another edition of the Droopy Dog Gamer. If you like bending metal and you've got a destructive personality, you are going to love this episode. Roll the credits! Before we start off this episode, we start off with the sad news of the passing of two legends of motorsport, and that is Sabine Shmitz, who sadly passed away just a few days ago after battling cancer since 2017. Sabine is the only female race driver to have famously won the Nürburgring 24-hour race back in 96-97 when she won it with Team BMW, and later shot to fame in the UK, famously boasting to Jeremy Clarkson that she could beat his time that he'd done on the Nürburgring in a Jaguar diesel, that she could beat it in a transit van, and she went on and did that, and she will be sadly missed. She was a very talented race driver and a great presenter. And it's been a double sad week because we also had the sad news that we lost Formula One's voice, the famous Murray Walker, earlier in the week as well. Murray was the legendary Formula One commentator who I grew up listening to and always got me excited no matter what the Grand Prix was. His voice was so addictive, and so it just sort of filled with excitement in every race. And I would like to send my condolences to both families on the sad passing and the sad news that we heard this week. Now, I did promise you, for all you metal benders out there that enjoy bent metal and smashing cars up, the popular franchise Wreckfest, made by Bugbear Entertainments and published by THQ Nordic, has had a massive upgrade for the Xbox Series X and Series S that's been released this week. On the Xbox Series X, it's now running at a really smooth 60 frames per second at 4K, and on the Xbox Series S it's running at 30 frames per second 4K. It does kind of make you wonder whether the Xbox Series S is going to be able to keep up with the technology of the games in this generation. But as I say, 30 frames per second is not bad, it's okay, but running at 60 frames per second is a massive difference. And for all you PS5 fans and PS5 owners, good news that the upgrade will be coming to PS5 really shortly, apparently. Hearing the news of this update immediately made me want to get this game out and give it a blast, which I haven't had a go on for ages. And for anyone that's never played it, it's offline and online, and you've got a variety of racing, from banger racing to full-on destruction derbies in caravans, and there's a whole lot of fun on here, and that's what the game's all about. It's a little bit more serious than Burnout. It's kind of not so arcade, but it's probably better executed than Destruction Derby, I would say, and the game is definitely a whole lot of fun, definitely worth checking out. And if banger racing isn't your thing, you can always have a go on the caravans, smashing those to pieces and having a smashing time. As you can see, it's still running at 30 frames per second on the PlayStation 5, but the PlayStation will be getting the same update as the Xbox Series X, so it will be running at a really nice smooth 60 frames per second. And it kind of is disappointing really for the Xbox Series S that they've obviously not been able to manage and execute that update sort of 60 frames per second. You would have thought that the console, although not quite having the same processing power as the big brother, the Series X, you would have thought that they'd have been able to execute, or at least give you the option to have perhaps 60 frames per second in 1080 high definition, but to just have it kind of at 30 frames per second at 4K, I just think that's a bit disappointing, but never mind, it is what it is. Now, apparently the update has a load of bug fixes in it, and it's got some extra content, but as I say, the main thing is that it will be running on PS5 and Xbox Series X at 60 frames per second, and that for me is enough to get me excited and playing that game again. We move on now to Gran Turismo and the daily races this week. As normal, pretty standard, the 3 races. You've got the road going cars, you've got a GR3 race and a GR4 race. The GR3 race particularly got my attention as I think it's a great opportunity to uprate your racing status, and if you're in the lower ratings you can definitely get some good positions this week, shoot up the rankings and get a higher driver rating. So let's take a look at how I did in the famous McLaren F1 GTR, one of my all-time favourite cars that I affectionately know as the Mr. Bean car, because Rowan Atkinson famously had the F1 McLaren road-going car. Now, if you do this track and you really speed at it and use the full track, you'll get around a 140. I didn't until after this race, so my qualifying was pretty poor, but as you can see, already a couple of cars gone. And if you literally just kind of stick to the track without using the rumble strips and going really tight, you'll get a 145. And if you go steady on this track, there's so many long straights followed by really sharp corners, as you'll see. There are just cars coming off everywhere. And here you go, there goes one. And if you're in kind of sort of rating B or even C, you are going to pick up some serious places on just doing this race a few times. And we go tight into that corner there, and we're already in 9th. And as you can see, straight down the straight, this car is brilliant on the straights, and when you combine its sort of straight speed with the seriously overpowered slipstreaming, you can do pretty well on this track. There goes a couple more. No, he kind of comes into me. I'm already in 8th. Another McLaren in front of me. And we've got a couple of sort of slower bends here, and I guarantee again he took it too fast, lost that wheel. So like I say, if you do use the full track here, you will get a 140. Even, you know, some of the real speedy racers are getting like sort of late 130s on here. I'm not that good, but you will get a 140 if you use the full track. You only have to lift off there. Again, I kind of messed that up a little bit. Could have took that a little bit quicker. But I'm already in 7th place. And all I've done really is just drive sensibly and take it nice and easy. And you join me on the final lap after my pit stop, and I gained another place. And as you can see, things are pretty straightforward on this race. There's just loads of straights on this Sardinia track. If you want to be really speedy and use all the track like I didn't there, you can kind of hook into that corner there, like I just kind of missed the rumble strip. But if you want to risk it, you can kind of hook your tyres in and it'll give you extra speed going around that corner. But if you take it nice and easy and kind of do like 143, 144s, even 145s, you're going to kind of easily rack up a few places, and I guarantee you'll probably sort of get 4 or 5 places if you're in the lower ranks. So it's a really, really easy race to gain some sort of driver rating. And I'm kind of on my own. It's a bit boring. My safety rating's gone up though, so that's one thing, good thing. This is a bit of a tricky corner here. You can kind of go in. And again, another tight corner at the end of this straight. Real tight left. And just take that. That kind of catches a few people out there. The Sardinia track here, you can kind of, you needn't brake on that corner, just lift off. I took that way too conservatively, but who cares? I crossed the line in 6. Thanks for watching another edition of the Droopy Dog Gamer. We'll see you next time. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It really helps our little channel to grow. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves.